Hello and welcome to Tech Simplified TV. This is the third episode in Power Management series. Power getting is a power saving method and we have mentioned about it in our last episode. It's not just keeping power down in one or another part of the circuit. There is more to it. Selective operation of a circuit require deep understanding of the circuit operation so that power, performance and area, that is PPA optimization is good and circuit operation remain seamless. Interested to know how all this taken care of? Stay tuned and focused till the end of the video to get all the answers. Now let's take a look at the pointers we are going to discuss in today's episode. First, power management and power getting. Next, power gated SOC. After that, retention strategy. Circuit configuration. There are two slides on circuit configuration. After that, power getting parameters. Next, global power getting, local power getting and switch in cell getting. After that, fine and coarse grain power getting. Then ring and column style implementation. And finally, figures of merit for power getting. So these are the pointers we will discuss in today's episode. Now let's move to the first slide. Power management and power getting. In our last episode, we have already showed this diagram. This is a basic power getting circuit. This is the pull-up logic, pull-down logic, and these two are slip transistor used for power getting. If the transistor positioned between pull-up logic and VDD, it's called header switch. And if it's positioned between pull-down logic and ground, it's called tuta switch. So the basic idea of power management arises from fact that all parts of circuit are not needed to function all the time. This is the basic idea for power management. The power management scheme can identify conditions under which either certain parts of the circuit or entire circuit can remain idle and shut them down to reduce power consumption. Basic theory behind power getting is, I have already mentioned that in our last episode of power optimization, that domestic level what we do, that if we are not working in any room in our house, usually we switch off the fan, light and other appliances, electrical appliances for power saving. Same strategy is applied in power getting. Since not all the parts of a circuit work at the same time, so which is not working or functionally idle that time, keep that part of the circuit, let's keep it down. When the transistor is not working, not in switching mode, that time standby power get dissipated. So if any portion is idle or in standby mode, due to leakage power can dissipate there, we can stop the power to go there so that power is not supplied there and then no leakage or no dissipation there. That way we can save the power. And one strategy of power management is that to identify the conditions under which either certain parts of the circuit or entire circuit can remain idle. Under which condition part or the whole circuit remain idle, the power management system first identify the modes, how the circuit works, and depending on that, power saving policy is determined. One of the technique to reduce the leakage power. In this technique, a MOSFET switch or slip transistor is used to cut off or get a circuit from power rails, VDD or ground during standby mode. This one and this one, switch transistor. The switch typically is positioned as header between the circuit and the VDD or as footer between the circuit and the ground. As I have already mentioned, power getting has two modes, sleep or standby mode and active mode. So there are two modes. When the circuit is active, that is switching activity is happening there. And another one is when there is no switching activity is getting done. That time is standby or sleep mode. Now during active operation, the power getting switch remains on, supplying the current that the circuit uses to operate. And during standby mode, turning off the power getting switch reduces the current dissipated through the circuit because current is not flowing there. So dissipation is very less. So power dissipation due to leakage is reduced by this method. So this is the basic of power management and power getting. And now we will talk about power gated SOC. So we are done with this slide. We will move to the next slide. We have tried to show our main functional blocks related to power getting in a SOC. This is a power getting controller. This is switching network, power gated functional block, always on functional block. And this is isolation cell, that is special cell. They have special purpose. Now, always on functional block, some part of the circuit need to get power all the time. So that is always on functional block. Now, power gated functional block, which comes under power management system. That is, this block is sometimes power is there and sometimes power is not there, depending on its operation. And in between, isolation cell is there. That is a switching network and that power getting controller. And here VDD and VSS. What are the basic components which we require in power gated SOC? Power switches. A power switch is a PMOS or NMOS transistor that disconnects the circuit from the power supply, ground, or both power and ground networks when power getting is engaged. This is the switching element. Power switch is basically used to connect or disconnect the part or the total SOC either with VDD or VSS or with both. Isolation cell is placed between power gated block and the active or always on block. During power gating operation, the circuit will contain few on and off domains together at any point of time. In such a situation, output of a off domain sends invalid signal to the on domain. To deal with such problematic situation, isolation cell is placed. That is actually a kind of barrier between power gated block and always on block, so that there no ambiguous data is sent from this block to that. So it is controller. Controllers are used in standard power gating applications to control and synchronize local power switches and isolation cells with clock gating or power gating signals. That is the logic. When which part will remain power gated and when and have to bring back the block into work again. Like suppose this is a power gated functional block. It doesn't need power all the time. Although it has a particular function in the whole SOC, that typical time that block must be come out of the idle or sleep mode, go into the active mode and work. And once done again, we can power gated that function block, so that which block when come out from the sleep and go to active mode and which block has or which part has completed its function and let's send it to sleep mode again. That kind of controlling is done by controller. So these are the basic part of a power gated SOC. We are done with this slide. We will move to the next slide. Now, retention strategy. Retention strategy is another important concept. Once a part of an SOC is power gated, it will lose its last state, whatever state it was. Retention strategy confirms that last stage of power gated block is not lost, that is stored somewhere. That is the main purpose of retention strategy. So when we need that part to be actively working, that last state value is required. So that value should be stored somewhere. Retention strategy confirms that. So a retention strategy is required, otherwise all state information is lost when block is powered down. To resume its operation on power up, the block must either have its state restored from an external source or build up its state from reset condition. In either case, the time and power required can be significant. One of the following three approaches may be used. How that last state is restored, that has three approaches. One is software approach, another is scan-based approach, and third is register-based approach. Software approach. In the software approach, the always-on CPU reads the registers of the power-gated block and stores in the processor's memory. During power-up sequence, the CPU writes back the registers from the memory. So that's a software approach, always-on CPU that read the data and store it in the memory, and during the power-up sequence, that data is written back to the register. Second is scan-based approach. Scan-based approach scan chains used for built-in self-test can be used. During power down sequence, the scan register outputs are routed to an chip or off-chip memory. In this approach, there can be significant saving of chip area. And third is register-based approach. Standard registers are replaced by retention registers that contains a shadow register which can preserve the register state during power down and restore it at power. These are three methods of retention. Now this is the diagram. That's a regular flop, that is state saving latch. It is VDD, and this is VDD when power is down because it's state saving latch. This when the general VDD is down, this regular flop is power down. So although that time this state saving latch has power because of VDD power down, because of that kind of backup connection, And power up, power down, data flow, data are going inside whatever the state that is getting saved here. You do power up and power down connections are also here. The data is stored here and we get it from there. So that is retention statics. How we store the last state of the power gated part. We are done with this slide. We will move to the next slide. Now circuit configuration. This is sleep technique. Circuit configuration, how these switches are placed. This is basic sleep technique. Now this is zigzag technique. This is in sleep technique, that is pull up network. This is pull down part, input and output. This one. This configuration is zigzag technique. This is CP stack technique. Stacking of transistor. Multiple transistors are used to reduce the subthreshold leakage current. We have seen it in last episode. That's a mix between sleep technique and stack technique. These three. This is sleepy stack technique. These are few configuration, popularly used configuration, circuit configuration for power gating. And there are two more in the next slide. That is dual sleep configuration and dual stack technique. These are the circuit configurations. We have just shown here the basic circuit configurations used for power gating techniques. Now we will try to understand about power gating parameters. What are the parameters in power gating? Power gate size. The power gate size is selected to handle amount of switching current at any given time. There should be a match. Otherwise, if that transistor cannot handle the switching current, then it's a mismatch and circuit performance will degrade. The gate size is selected to be around 3 times the switching capacitance. The designers can also choose between header or footer gate. Footer gates are smaller in area for the same switching current. Dynamic power analysis tool can accurately measure the switching current and also predict the size for the power gate. Next is gate control slew rate. When the slew rate is large, it takes more time to switch off and switch on the circuit and hence can affect the power gating efficiency. How fast the switching action happens, that is dependent on the slew rate of the gate. The simultaneous switching capacitance. It's an important constraint that refers to the amount of circuit that can be switched simultaneously without affecting the power network's integrity. If a large amount of circuit is switched simultaneously, the resulting rush current can compromise the power network integrity. So the circuit needs to be switched in stages since it comes through a switch. So how many gates are switched on? And when it switches so many transistors, then rush current, if that is larger than the switch can handle, then the power network's integrity can be compromised. So that circuit needs to be switched in stages in order to prevent this. And fourth is power gate leakage. Since power gates are made of active transistor, leakage reduction is an important consideration to maximize power savings. So leakage of power gate is also a considerable parameter. These are 4 power gating parameters. Now we will try to understand power gating topologies. So we are done with this slide and we will move to the next slide. Now power gating topologies. There are 3: global power gating, local power gating and switch in cell power gating. Now these switches are connected in the circuit. That is power gating topology. The first, global power gating. In global power gating, multiple switches are connected to one or more blocks of logic and the single virtual ground is shared in common among all the power gated logic. This topology is effective for large blocks, that is coarse-grained. What is coarse-grained? We will see in later slides, in which all the logic is power-gated. This method is less effective when logic blocks are small. The method is not applicable when there are many different power-gated blocks, each controlled by different sleep-enabled signal. So we can see that in global power gating, multiple switches are connected to one or more blocks of logic and a single virtual ground is shared in common. That is global power gating. This is the virtual ground. This is single virtual ground. We'll see because this is the footer switch between actual ground and power down network. So that is connected. That is global power gating. Next is local power gating. In local power gating, each switch singularly gets its own virtual ground. Virtual ground is of all the blocks are not connected. That is not common. So each switch singularly gets its own virtual ground connected to its own group of logic. This arrangement results in multiple segmented virtual grounds for a single sleep domain. And this switch-in cell may be thought of as an extreme form of local power getting implementation. Each logic cell contains its own switch transistor. Its primary advantages are that delay calculation is very straightforward. Each logic cell have its own slip transistor. So number of slip transistor increases. So area overhead is substantial. Now we will discuss about power getting granularity. There are two types if we consider granularity. One is fine grain, another is coarse grain power. Fine and coarse grain. The power getting switch is placed locally as part of the standard cell. This power getting cell is become the part of the standard cell. As a result, the size of the switch is usually large and there is significant area over it because number is so many, right? Power getting switch is placed as the part of standard cell. So for each standard cell, that is fine, very fine grain power getting, very granular level. All cells have virtual ground port, all cells in a domain share same virtual ground. And in case of coarse getting, it's a relatively larger block or a block of gate is power switched by a block of switch cells. IP core is surrounded by a virtual ground. This is IP core. Now this is virtual ground and its actual ground. In between switch is there, which is between this virtual ground and actual ground. And this is the representation. In between that is IP core and this one is virtual ground and this one is actual ground. Power switch is there. So it's a bigger block. Power gated. In case of every standard cell, they are getting their own switch, power switch. So this is fine grain and coarse grain power getting. Next is power getting implementation. There are two types of implementation: ring style implementation and grid style implementation. Ring and column or grid style implementation. The switches are placed external to the power gated block by encapsulating it by a ring of switches. This is the core part. This is the core logic block and switches are here like this. All the switching cells are arranged this way like a ring around it. Switches connect VDD to the virtual VDD of the power gated block. This is the only style that can be used to supply power to an existing hard block by placing the switches outside it. This is a method. This is the ring of switch cells are here. In case of grid or column type, the switch cells are added as multiple columns within the logic blocks. Here the global power grid inside the block is routed in the higher metal layers while the switched power rails are routed in lower layers. So this is columns of switch. Global power grid inside the block is routed in the higher metal layers and in switched power rails are routed in lower. This is the structure of column or grid of switch cells. Now we will discuss about figures of merit and challenges for power getting. Performance degradation, a design or input specification that defines a maximum allowable delay, increase in the design or logic block, increase in the original critical path delay permitted when the design or logic block is power gated. This parameter is denoted by alpha, expressed as percentage increase in the original critical path delay. If we consider a device or circuit level, there are more transistors or their switch cells are basically transistors, so number of transistors are increasing. When we are doing power getting, we need more transistors. Switch transistors are introduced, so total number of transistors are increasing, number of devices increasing. Path is basically getting longer. A design input specification that defines a maximum allowable delay, increase in the design or logic block, increase in original critical path delay permitted when the design or logic block is power gated. So delay is increasing, number of devices are increasing. This parameter is denoted by alpha, expressed as percentage increase in the original critical path delay. Without power getting, there is tolerable path delay is defined for the circuit. Now introduction of power getting is increasing it. At what percentage that is increasing is denoted by alpha. Now sleep transistor size. Sleep transistor size depend mainly on two parameters: the virtual ground voltage V virtual ground and the peak discharge current of the design or logic block IP. For a given peak current value, IP have a lower virtual ground value to obtain a lower speed degradation of the cells in the power gated design, thus resulting in a larger sleep transistor. On the other hand, a higher value of virtual ground would lead to smaller sleep transistor, but to a higher delay degradation of the cells in the power gated design. So sleep transistor, depending on the circuit virtual ground value, peak current, depending on that, sleep transistor size varies, and accordingly performance of the circuit also varies because now slip transistor is part of the circuit. Now leakage power savings. The main benefit of power gating is how much leakage power can be saved. That is the benefit. That's why power gating was introduced. Now power mode transition time. In a power gated designer block, the turn off time is the time required by the designer block to go from active to the standby mode, and the turn on time is the time required by the design block to make the opposite mode transition. How fast that is happening, that is figure of merit. Obviously, switching depends on that. Power mode transition energy. The quantity denotes a non-negotiable energy dissipation during turn on or off of the slip transistor. The energy loss occurs in the charging and discharging of the virtual ground line, capacitance, and in the buffers which drive the slip transistor. This parameter is strongly coupled with the size of transistor. Figure of merit, performance degradation, how much delay is increased, slip transistor size. On that, circuit performance is dependent. How much power we can save through power gating, that is leakage power savings, power mode transition, first switching is happening, and finally is power mode transition energy. It's a non-negotiable energy dissipation during turn on or off of the slip transistor. The energy loss occurs in the charging and discharging of the virtual ground line, capacitance, and in the buffers which drive the slip transistor. Now, what are the challenges? Power gating comes with challenge of extra power dissipation to enter and exit power saving modes. Extra logic is implemented. Extra power is required for that. Enter and exit to power gating mode requires some extra clock cycle. More function is happening in time. It will consume some time. So more time cycles, clock cycles are required. And addition of special cells increase total area. That should be area. Not only special cells, also sleep cells are introduced. So sleep cells, retention cells, isolation cells, always on cells. So power gating technique require more new special cells. They are present in the design. So more area is required. So these are basically challenges. So this is the basic on the power gating. We have tried to discuss here the basic of power gating, parameters, figure of merit, challenges and all. So we are done with this slide and we are done with our today's episode. Thank you for watching up to this point. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. If you have a question or query, please put it as a comment. If you have a dislike, also put it as a comment. Thank you again and bye for today.